There's an interview with the man himself, Rod Ferguson.
I also got to interview Diablo general manager Rod Ferguson. Season 2 of Diablo 4 was announced at Gamescom opening night. This was a big surprise for me. Be sure to check out that video if you haven't seen the latest on the Season of the Vampires, I guess. But as for this Diablo event...
Yeah, I forgot what it was called too.
It took place in the evening. The venue was in the middle of a bunch of desolate, broken down warehouses.
Bro, this looks like it came out of Fallout. Is this Germany? Shit, that sucks, bro. They gotta clean this stuff up.
Houses, like some horror movie. Within the venue, everything was thematically decorated. There was a dinner with themed food and drinks, while also being rooted in German tradition. I tried some pork knuckle. I did not really like it. Plus, there were a bunch of activities to participate in. In fact, 3 of the activities, if you completed them, you would have a chance to win the Grandfather Sword. And no, this is not how they're adding deterministic ability to farm the Uber Uniques.
Yeah.
But more on that in a bit. So one of the events was axe throwing. You had to hit enough targets in order to get your little check mark on that part of your card. Another activity was minting a coin of sorts at the blacksmith. You'd operate this machine that would bring down this...
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I did one of these.
Heavy stamp, I guess, on a piece of metal.
Excellent,
on one side it had Lilith's logo, on the other Anarius's. Another activity was drinking a potion brewed by an alchemist. This dude looked really, really authentic. I was mildly...
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, I would not have fucking drank that shit. Like, I'll be, nope, not gonna happen. We're not gonna get the sword.
Concerned about this potion because it had dry ice in it. I am fairly certain it was like bubbling and smoking, and it seemed as though there was a little receptacle for the dry ice.
That's also like, bro, like that's like the level 5 potion. That's not even the good ones. This thing restores like 40 health over 6 seconds.
Ice, and the alchemist did say wait for it to stop smoking before drinking it. And I just finished watching some bar competition show on Netflix in which some guy added dry ice into his cocktail, and the judges basically disqualified him on that account because one little bit of dry ice in your throat and you're dead. You're just dead. Anyway, I'm still alive, so yeah, the potion was pretty awesome.
Well,
the night opened with this ominous choir performing this haunting piece. Then up on the balcony above, Rod Ferguson appears like the friggin' Hunger Games.
Oh my god! Oh, this is so good. I love this. Bro, he should have been in a costume or something. It would have been even better. Oh, wow. I love this. So good.
And then after Rod, they introduced Chris Wilson. And a lot of us were like, what?
Yeah, wait,
and there was this pause before which Chris Wilson appeared. But no, it was not Chris Wilson of Grinding Gear Games.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's another bald Chris Wilson. Okay. Yeah.
Turns out there is another Chris Wilson, and he is the production director focused on the live service of Diablo 4.
Okay.
But that's when they also introduced the Grandfather Sword. They had an actual Grandfather Sword, probably some 50...
Oh, there's only one in the world. Just like the real game.
15-pounder Highlander sword that Chris Wilson got to brandish, and this was the prize that people had to complete these 3 quests for, put their name on that piece of paper, and then give that in for a random draw.
Yeah.
I'm given to understand the person who ended up winning the Grandfather Sword was a local from Germany.
Good for him.
Which probably heavily facilitated their ability to transport that sword back home, because I imagine U.S. Customs would... ask a question or two. And I got to have a sit-down talk with Rod Ferguson and Chris Wilson. We were only allowed to record the interview for our own note-taking purposes. I cannot provide you with the audio. But
that was Cinder, right? Her cosplay? I saw this on Twitter. It was actually fucking insane.
I can tell you about the chat
Cinder's,
that we had. So right off the bat, again, I was surprised at the Season 2 reveal.
It's
they explained why they announced Season 2 so early was because of Gamescom. They saw this opportunity. They went for it, but we should not expect going forward for this to be the template for how early they're going to announce new seasons.
Yeah, I think that once you announce the new season, you also kill people's excitement for playing the current season. Because, like, at that point, they're not thinking about what they're doing now. They're thinking about what they're going to do.
They spoke about how with Season 1, because Season 1 was basically done already by the time they launched the game, they weren't able to respond as much to player feedback. So now for Season 2, they're really trying to incorporate as much feedback as they can, which is why we're seeing all these quality of life changes.
Yeah.
And basically, community asked for things coming with Season 2.
Which, I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of good positive things coming out of I was going to say Overwatch. No, that's not true. Diablo 4. in season 2. Like, they are improving a number of things that people have asked for, and I think that's great. I'm happy. They're improving the uber unique stuff. They're fixing resistances. They're doing a lot of stuff. The problem, and this is the issue that I think that most people have, is that, okay, so it comes out of beta in season 2. So the game finally releases in season 2. Is that right? So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'll probably try it out, season 2, see what it's like. If there's a build that I feel like is enjoyable, might be fun to play. But I don't know if I'm going to stay that engaged, especially if there's not anything endgame related.
They were saying how moving forward, they basically want seasons to be a mixture of what they have planned as part of their roadmap, plus responding to player feedback. They want to leave room for player feedback to be able to be addressed as part of seasons. Then I asked them whether the scale and scope of future seasons, whether we should be looking more at season 1 or season 2, as I believe season 2 is of a larger scope than season 1. They said they're not quite locked in yet on that, but that they ultimately want to find a balance that serves the multiple different types of players that play Diablo 4. They pointed to Season 29 and Diablo 3.
I think the problem that they have is this. It's that whenever I play Season 2, there is no greater height that I can reach. There is no higher peak that I can achieve. I am doing the effectively same exact thing that I did in Season 1. And this is why I stopped playing Diablo 3, is because nothing felt good about progressing. For example, in Path of Exile, I know people get upset whenever I compare Diablo 4 to Path of Exile. Good. I'm going to keep doing it. Anyway, I just wanted to address that. There's been some comments about this. Yep, I'm going to keep doing it. So they add Shaper, they add Elder, they add the Conquerors, they add Searing Exarch, they add these bosses, and these bosses and these challenges are like these objective benchmarks that you can put your character up against. But Diablo 4 doesn't have those in any sort of a meaningful way. Like, they just have Uber Lilith, which sucks. Like, Searing Exarch is a better fight than Uber Lilith. Shaper is a better fight than Uber Lilith. Cirrus. I'm going to say it. I think Cirrus is a way better fight than Uber Lilith. Like, Cirrus has better music. He has better loot. He has a better story. I don't know about better story. He has a better, like, during the combat, I think he has cooler lines, you know? He has better mechanics. The mechanics are easier to see, and they're also harder. Alkaiser thinks differently. Alkaiser feels that way because you can one-shot the bosses. I don't think like, if you could one-shot Lilith, he would think the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
That because at this point it's mostly just veteran players playing Diablo 3. You can have a season that just, changes some mechanics, changes a few math numbers, and boom, there's your season. But with Diablo 4, because there's a lot more new players or general RPG players, it's not just the core ARPG players. They're trying to do things that involve all players, which is why we have the quest storyline and a theme and a wrapper around everything beyond just mechanics. But basically, they want to plan to try different things as they go along and test out with seasons, get more data points, and really try to capture all the different types of players. But basically, they're going to adjust as they go along. They confirm that the story questline of Season 2 is independent of Season 1, so if you didn't play Season 1 story, you're not going to be lost. Every season will basically have its own independent story. And they shared that when they're designing seasons, it's actually generally mechanic first. Like, this is an interesting season mechanic, so what's a cool theme and story that we can have go with this? But also, they always lead first with what will be fun for the player. What's a new power fantasy? As for more details on Season 2, we're going to have to wait for
I'm going to have to wait to see if that's actually going to happen, because I think that, like, is it fun for the player? Like, why the fuck would you think it's fun to farm Renown? Like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah.
First week of October, they'll have their live stream. They're going to go through all the mechanics, all the details. But for now, they just wanted to announce it. They just wanted to say, hey, there's this cool narrative coming. And also let the core players know we're listening. We're bringing these quality of life changes, these endgame bosses, gem tabs, Renown carrying over completely. and that there's still lots more to come. Rod in particular was excited to try out a barbarian vampire type of character, as he feels it's a really bizarre combination. He wants to see how it's going to play out. So he's kind of locked in for barbarian for his Season 2 class. Chris Wilson is really hyped for the vampiric powers that will be introduced in Season 2. He said it's going to give players a new way to approach our builds. And, of course, they couldn't share more, but I'm speculating already. Life Leech, right? Life Leech. Back in early D3 history.
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, having Life Leech is good. The only way you can get Life Leech in the game now is through Andariel's Visage, which never fucking drops. So, yeah, I mean, that's great. But, like, adding in another stat like that, it's not really going to change... You know, it's not really going to change gameplay. You know what I mean?
Life Leech was basically the meta. You had the tiniest life pool, you stacked a ton of Life Leech, you basically leached back your entire life every time you hit, and it made for interesting, or exciting rather, thrilling, but not varied gameplay, where every class, every build wanted to do this. You just stack a ton of Life Leech, and the moment you stop attacking monsters, you are dead. But it was exciting to just be constantly, it felt like the movie Speed, where the second you let off the gas, you just die. Again, though, there was no diversity because all builds wanted to do that, so they had rebalanced Life Leech back then to effectively completely neuter it. But part of it was actually that the Life Leech scaled based on your damage, so your objective was stack as much damage as possible so that you're leeching as
this is vanilla D3 strats. I remember this very well.
Much life as possible. But anyway, I'm curious to see how they're going to do it in D4, or what these vampiric powers otherwise will be. Then Rod also spoke about how one of the big pieces of feedback that they heard was about the rarity of Uber Uniques in D4, which is why they're now giving players a new way to target farm Uniques. Any reference to the new endgame bosses being added. Then I asked...
I mean, I think that sounds amazing, right? Like, I would love to be able to target farm the Uber Uniques, for sure. But, like, how much is that really going to change the gameplay? Yeah, how much is it going to change the game? Like, I feel like it's going to basically be the same thing. Now, I'll probably try out Season 2 with all the changes that they made. I'll probably try it out, see what it's like. But I have low expectations so far.
Asked Rod about how back in our interview in December, check out that video if you haven't seen it, he'd expressed that Diablo 4's launch was laying down a foundation, and then from there, they would listen to the community to help steer the direction of where the game would be heading. So I asked, okay, we're a couple months post-launch, where do you feel the community is steering the game? And he spoke about how the loudest part of the community is the core community, and that's a part of the balance that they have to manage, catering to the core community, but also not leaving behind new players and casual players. They definitely do understand that the core players are central to their success. They want to make sure they're doing all the right things.
Well, the core players are going to be the ones that buy the microtransactions. They're the ones that, they buy the battle pass. They're going to be invested for the long term.
Serve the core players. And he reiterated how they learned through Season 1 and the pre-Season 1 patch that they need to be more proactive and more transparent with their approach. They realized it was a mistake to put out patch notes at the same time as putting out a patch, not giving people enough time to talk about the patch and react to it. Basically spoke about how they got things 2/3 right, where they had the medicine prepared, the 2/3, but they hadn't quite finished the 1/3, the sugar, and they thought it would be fine to just ship the medicine first and deliver the sugar later. They promised not to do that again, and they're willing to accept that even if it means the game is going to be out of balance for longer periods of time, because they have to focus on getting that last 1/3 in, the sugar, to also come with the medicine. They're going to do that because they need to focus on the player experience, not just the purity of balance.
I think that's such a good thing, because balance matters, but at the end of the day, if the game doesn't play well, then nothing else really matters, does it? Who really gives a shit? And I think that's what the issue is, and that's why people were so unhappy with that one patch they did, is because it simply made the characters play worse. Yeah, fun and playability matters more.
Ultimately, Diablo 4 is the first truly live service Diablo game that was designed to be a live service game from the start. D3 was in this weird position where it was launched as this, one and done boxed product. Then they started to add seasons and season themes in a more meaningful way that sort of turned it into a live service game, but they never had that foundation in place to properly work from there. So now with D4 being designed from the ground up with live service in mind, I was asking, like, what's the biggest lessons that you guys have learned now? And a big part of it was about pacing. They had to learn to set up a production pipeline that could accommodate this. So they have one team working on the odd seasons, 1, 3, 5, another team working on the even seasons, 2, 4, 6, and a third team working on the live game, and a fourth team working on expansions. So they have at least 4 different Diablo teams constantly working on the game. And so one of the issues that they would run into is, okay, we have, you know, some new feature that we're working on, or maybe we're reacting to the community feedback to fix something or balance something, and you have all these trains leaving the station. You have the season 1 train going and the season 2.
Maybe this is like ignorant and like stupid of me, but like, how do you need a whole team to add Malignant Hearts into the game and add one boss? How do you need a whole team for that? Like, I don't understand it, because, like, you know, they said that PoE, like, they were running it with, like, how many people, right? How do you need that? Like, it just sounds insane to me.
Train is in the works, and it's like, okay, what train do we put this on? And they were really focused on setting up a pipeline in a way that doesn't burn out the developers. You hear stories from other live service games of the constant, nonstop grind, season after season after season, and they just wanted to ensure that they could pace ourselves to keep up with the players, keep up with the community, keep up with the aspirations, but make sure they do it in a way that is sustainable. They want to be reactive, but they don't want to burn out their devs by just constantly reacting to fires. And that wrapped up my interview and my experience with...
I mean, I don't know, man. Like with Renown, for example, people were saying that they had problems with Renown in the beta. Like, you really think that turning this off is going to burn out the developers? I mean, come on, man. Like, it's the same thing with removing the reset dungeon button. What the hell is this?
Diablo at Gamescom 2023. Stay tuned for more Gamescom coverage. I'll have about 5 or so videos in total in my Gamescom series. Do keep an eye out for that, and do make sure to have seen my opening night video where we talk about all the reveals, including the Season 2 reveal of Diablo 4. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more.
Okay. I don't know why Blizzard has to relearn the same things every time they make a new game. Did you see a top post on Diablo 4 Reddit? No, let me look at it. Oh god, okay, yeah, I'll look at this in a minute. Let me finish this first. Like, I'm glad Riker came and he talked about this. I think it's good to hear. It would have been nice to hear exactly what Rod said, but, you know, for whatever reason, it might not really be possible to happen. But either way, I just want to see the game succeed, you know? I want to see the game do well. I like the aesthetic of the game. I like the game. I think it has, like, some good foundations. And I've been a fan of Diablo for a long time. I played Diablo 3 a lot. So, I don't want to see the game die. I like it. But they need to start listening and trying to think about the future rather than holding on to ideas that are outdated, like not listening to the player base until like 6 months after post-release. Like, come on. And so, you know, we'll see how things evolve. But I think the problem is that every single expansion or patch or season or whatever that they're doing, if all they do is take away the stuff they added in the last season and then put in new stuff, you're never really going to have like a robust game. It's just going to be like a new set of paint every single time. You're not building on anything. You're just resetting it back to 0 every time. The big issue is disconnect between dev and player on what's important. Yeah, well, that's their fault. I mean, I think people made it pretty obvious what they don't like. I mean, damn. They did the same thing with Diablo 3. Yeah, they did in a lot of ways. I haven't played Season 1. Should I bother? It's kind of over now, right? I mean, I'd probably wait for Season 2 at this point. So there was also another State of Diablo 4 live event in Korea. That's right, gentlemen. There's been something crazy that's been happening. A lot of really cool stuff. There was a Diablo 4 event hosted in Korea. It was received with nearly no viewers and live attendances. A streamer who attended the live event and got permission to stream was then asked to stop streaming after he expressed his surprise over the lack of attendees. I'm not surprised at all about this. One person in all of Korea plays Diablo 4. Yeah. So, full stream. Here's the stream right here. Yeah, there's like nobody there. Oh my god. I'll see if I can find some more of the clips. Oh, there's the audience. Shut it down. Oh no. What is this? This is such... how many people? 600. Oh my god. Getting beat out by Halo Infinite. Jesus. Did they forget to promote the event? I don't know, man. Maybe more people tuned in later on. Yeah, there's the players. What are they even doing? They're level 6. Who gives a shit? Okay, what about towards the end of the event? Are things getting lit towards the end of the event, at least? I think people left. Wait. So the only people that were in the audience here, these were actually just the players on the other team? Oh. How many views does the video have? 6,000 views. Let's see. Can I translate any of this? Look. Look at this. Who's like a third-rate gaming company holding a competition? Oh god. Is this the famous festival location? That's a pity, Diablo 4. That's all they're typing. Oh my god. It's empty, ha ha ha. It's a waste of money. Who is this guy? Bro. There it is. There we go, gentlemen. He's keeping it real.